The clock ticks for all of us, but these 7 signs reveal when someone's time is drawing near. Ready to uncover them? Few things challenge our peace of mind as much as the mystery of time. When someone we love gets older, we begin to notice signs that once went unnoticed. It's not about creating alarm, but about learning to observe more carefully what the body and spirit communicate. Shi Heng, known for his reflections on the soul and the cycles of life, left direct notes about the end of the physical journey, and although we should not live in fear, understanding these signs can be a way to welcome, prepare for, and respect this moment with more serenity. The last year of life does not always come with clear warnings, but in many cases there are common patterns that emerge. Knowing how to recognize them is an act of caring. Therefore, this video will reveal 7 signs pointed out by Shi Heng that may indicate that an older person is approaching their departure. Each one will be explained with clarity and respect so that you feel more prepared to face this inevitable topic. Throughout life, we learn to deal with changes, losses, and transformations. However, the idea of recognizing that someone may be in their last months still carries discomfort. But avoiding this subject doesn't make it less real. On the contrary, talking about it can be liberating, especially for those who want to take better care of their loved ones. Shi Heng always argued that knowledge about the end of life should not be a reason for sadness, but for understanding. If you value this type of reflection and want to continue receiving content like this, take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel and show your support with a like. These small gestures help us to continue producing topics that really matter. And now, with an open mind and a peaceful heart, let's understand what are the first signs that may indicate that someone is approaching their last cycle in this life. The first sign mentioned by Shi Heng is a subtle but constant change in the sparkle in the eyes. It may seem poetic, but it is something physical. The light that used to be there begins to fade little by little. People close by notice a more distant look, as if the person were present but already turned to another dimension. It is not a lack of attention or mental confusion, but a softening of the gaze, as if something internal were disconnecting from the world. According to Shi Heng, this has nothing to do with specific diseases, but with the natural process of transition of the soul. This sign is usually noticed by children, grandchildren, or close friends who accompany the elderly person daily. Although it is difficult to describe, many report this visual change as a clear feeling that something has changed in the person's presence, even if they continue to talk normally. The second sign involves sleep, but it's not just sleeping more. It is a change in sleep patterns, with long periods of rest during the day and difficulty staying awake for long, even without signs of serious illness. Shi Heng explained that this prolonged sleep is a preparation of the body, which begins to disconnect little by little from intense physical activity. The organism, which for decades remained in motion, begins to ask for silence and rest. The desire to talk decreases, the energy seems to run out faster, and even with adequate food, the disposition does not return as before. This should not be confused with depression or sadness. It is a kind of deep rest, as if the body knew that it no longer needs to remain on constant alert. And for many family members, this new rhythm may be the first indication that a new phase has begun. The third sign, according to Shi Heng, is in speech. It's not just about talking less, but about changing the way you express yourself. Many elderly people begin to use phrases with reference to the past, as if they were reliving specific moments more frequently. Stories that once seemed forgotten return with surprising clarity. They talk more about people who have already passed away, mention vivid dreams, and in some cases, report encounters with deceased loved ones as if they had really happened. Shi Heng said that the soul begins to reconnect with its spiritual origins even before the physical departure. Therefore, these speeches should not be seen as delusions or confusion. On the contrary, they are signs that consciousness is expanding beyond the present reality, touching memories and affections that have deeply marked their journey. Another important sign cited by Shi Heng is material detachment. People who used to take care of their belongings begin to show less interest in objects, clothes, or even valuable goods. It is not a matter of forgetfulness or carelessness, but of an inner change. They begin to donate things, get rid of material memories, or simply stop caring about what once seemed essential to them. Shi Heng interpreted this as a movement of the soul towards detachment. After all, when the spirit understands that it is preparing to leave, the material world loses relevance. Family members may notice this change as something subtle but significant. It is common to hear phrases like, "I don't need this anymore," or "I want to leave this with you." These gestures, however simple they may seem, carry a deep meaning about the emotional and spiritual stage that is approaching. The fifth sign is in the change in diet. It is not uncommon for the older person to begin to refuse foods that they once appreciated. The appetite decreases consistently, even when there are no apparent clinical problems. Shi Heng observed that this happens because the body begins to prioritize simpler vital functions and slows down processes such as digestion. It is as if the organism understood that it no longer needs the same energy to remain active. Some people prefer liquids, fruits, or light foods. Others show complete disinterest, eating only out of politeness or habit. This change, although often causing concern in family members, can be part of a natural process. The important thing, according to Shi Heng is to respect the limits and offer support, avoiding insistence or demands. The body speaks in subtle ways when it is preparing to leave, and it is up to us to listen carefully and with empathy. The sixth sign involves emotional behavior. People who are approaching the end tend to demonstrate more serenity. This may seem contradictory, but many family members report that the elderly person begins to show peace, even in the face of situations that once worried them. Shi Heng said that this occurs because the soul, feeling that it is about to leave the body, enters a state of reconciliation with its own history. Unresolved issues cease to weigh, conflicts lose importance, and there is a visible desire for harmony. It is common to see these people asking for forgiveness, thanking more frequently, and showing affection for simple gestures. It is not a forced change, but a natural state of closure. The heart seems to prepare for departure with dignity. Understanding this can help family members welcome this new behavior with respect and gratitude. The seventh and last sign pointed out by Shi Heng is the increase in spiritual perceptions. Many elderly people begin to report presences, intense dreams, or sensations that they are being accompanied by loved ones who have already passed away. These reports, for those who believe in the continuity of life, are signs that the soul is being prepared for the return to the spiritual plane. Shi Heng always reinforced that these experiences should not be seen with fear or worry, but with naturalness. It is common for these elderly people to talk to people who are not visible, look into the void with an expression of serenity, or even describe conversations with family members who have passed away a long time ago. These moments can be disconcerting for those around them, but they bring a clear message. The end of physical life is approaching, and the soul has already begun to walk towards a new stage with gentleness and connection to something greater. After recognizing these 7 signs, it is natural that doubts, fears, and even resistance arise. Not all cases are the same, and not everyone who presents one of these signs is necessarily in their last year. The purpose of this video is not to create alarm, but to offer understanding. Shi Heng argued that when we know what to observe, we can take better care, listen more deeply, and love with more presence. Often, the greatest gift we can give to someone in their last months is our quiet attention, being present, listening without correcting, embracing without rushing. These simple gestures become precious when time becomes short. want to uncover the 7 clues to life's last chapter? Like this video and follow for more wisdom. Knowledge allows us to live these moments with more fullness, avoiding regrets. Understanding the signs is just the beginning. The most important thing is how we choose to act from this understanding, with affection, patience, and truth. Shi Heng also warned that this type of knowledge should not be used as a diagnosis. Doctors and specialists continue to be essential for taking care of the health of those we love. However, spiritual signs, when perceived, can be an invitation to a different type of care, a care that goes beyond the body, reaching the soul and the feelings. Perhaps the person does not say with words that they feel they are leaving, but their attitudes can reveal a lot. Instead of denying, we can learn to accept. Instead of ignoring, we can observe. Each person lives this transition in a unique way, but there are common points that can guide us. And when we welcome these signs with maturity, we create a lighter, more respectful and loving environment. After all, the end of life does not need to be surrounded only by pain, but also by meaning, reconciliation, and true affection. In many moments, the most difficult thing is not to perceive the signs, but to know what to do with them. When a father, a mother, or a long-time companion begins to show these indications, the heart weighs. We don't know if we talk about it, if we respect the silence, or if we try to maintain the routine as if nothing were changing. Shi Heng recommended that at this moment, listening was more important than speaking, that gestures were worth more than advice. Sometimes the person does not want explanations, just company. A tea served without haste, an old song playing in the background, a walk in the yard. It is in these details that affection manifests itself. The last year of life, when lived with presence and care, can be a silent farewell, but also a time of healing, an opportunity to thank, to forgive, and to say goodbye in peace. Many family members are afraid to talk about the end of life with their loved ones. They think that bringing up the subject can sadden or bring unwanted omens, but silence also carries weight. Shi Heng stated that most elderly people feel when they are approaching the end, even if they don't say so, and when someone is willing to talk in a calm, sincere and respectful way, it opens space for the other person to express their emotions. It is in this listening that revelations, requests, and even stories that have been kept for decades emerge. Ignoring the signs or avoiding dialogue can deprive us of precious moments. Therefore, it is important to learn to ask carefully, listen with the heart, and respect the limits of the other person. There will not always be clear answers, but the willingness to be there already makes all the difference. Life can be celebrated, even in the most delicate moments. When perceiving the signs described by Shi Heng, some children, grandchildren, or close companions feel a strong impulse to make up for lost time. They begin to visit more, to want to be present every day, to worry about every detail. This movement is understandable, but it needs to be balanced. The elderly person who is preparing to leave needs true presence, not emotional rush. Shi Heng said that at this moment, the most valuable thing is the quality of the presence, not the quantity. A firm look, a respectful touch, a time of shared silence can be worth more than long conversations. Too many questions or the desire to solve everything at once can be emotionally overwhelming. It is important to remember that the process belongs to the other person. We are there as support, as a reference, but not as protagonists. Knowing how to give space is as important as being close. It is also common during this period for the family members themselves to enter a process of transformation. When accompanying someone in their last months, many people change their priorities, their beliefs, and their way of seeing life. Shi Heng said that the end of a cycle touches not only those who leave, but also those who remain. Living with these signs awakens deep reflections. We begin to value time more, to listen more to the details, to perceive the fragility of existence. This is a silent but powerful side effect, and if we allow it, it can become a seed of change. Many, after living this process, decide to forgive old conflicts, move to a new city, adopt a new rhythm. It is not an obligation, but a natural consequence of those who have been face to face with what really matters. Time ceases to be abstract and begins to have real value. It is important to remember that recognizing these signs does not mean giving up on caring. On the contrary, it means caring better. When we understand that someone may be in their last year, we adjust our attitudes. We begin to respect the rhythms more, to prioritize comfort, to listen more patiently. Shi Heng reinforced that this moment requires full presence, not to try to prevent the inevitable, but to make the farewell more dignified. Many family members discover that by truly surrendering to this process, they find peace. The pain of loss exists, but it comes accompanied by gratitude, the feeling that everything was done with love, that no word was trapped, that time was well spent. This is one of the greatest rewards of those who are willing to go through this stage with maturity. The goodbye will not be less painful, but it will be more serene. Shi Heng also talked about the importance of maintaining a welcoming environment. Sometimes it is the small adjustments that make the difference, making the house quieter, allowing light to enter through the window, playing soft music that brings back good memories. It is not about creating an artificial scenario, but about respecting the moment, avoiding excessive visits, reducing the rush, allowing the person to feel safe and loved. All of this contributes to making them feel at peace. A peaceful environment conveys care, even if they don't say so. The elderly perceive when they are surrounded by true attention. Shi Heng believed that the soul recognizes this welcome, and that, in many cases, this helps in the transition process. It is not necessary to change everything, but small attitudes make a big difference. The most important thing is that each gesture comes from the heart, without haste, without obligation, only with love. Most people only perceive the value of certain moments when they become memories. Therefore, Shi Heng insisted on the importance of living with full attention the days that we still have with those we love. It is not necessary to wait for the signs to become evident to begin to value each moment. On the contrary, we can cultivate this look from now on. Ask more about the other person's childhood, listen to their stories, laugh together at the memories, thank them for everything that has been lived. These moments do not need to be grandiose to become unforgettable. They just need to be sincere. When the end of life approaches, each conversation, each gesture, and each silence becomes something precious. And when the goodbye comes, what will remain will not be the absence, but what was built. A legacy of affection, care, and presence that no one will be able to erase or forget. There are moments when, even knowing all this, the heart still refuses to accept the idea of losing a loved one. It will never be easy, no matter how prepared we are. Shi Heng recognized this pain and said that it is part of the process. There is no way to go through this phase without feeling. However, he also said that suffering can be lessened when we manage to say goodbye with truth. Say what needs to be said, hear what has not yet been heard, hold the hand without looking away. These attitudes are simple, but they require courage, and when we manage to act like this, we create a more human and profound closure. The emptiness exists, but it will be filled with the certainty that we did our best, that we were there, that we were present. And this presence becomes living memory, which accompanies us even after departure. When a loved one leaves, the silence of the house seems to say more than 1,000 words. The smell of coffee, the empty chair, the space where there used to be laughter, everything is transformed. And it is at this moment that we perceive the value of the details that we lived with them. Therefore, we should not wait for the last days to demonstrate affection. Shi Heng always said that life should be celebrated while it is happening, that each gesture, however small it may seem, carries the strength of the bond. A handwritten note, a sincere compliment, a time together on the porch. These things build a network of affection that remains. And when the final time arrives, it is this network that sustains. It is in it that we find support, remembrance, and consolation. As we reflect on the 7 profound signs of life's final year illuminated by Shi Heng, we are gently nudged to view the end of life not as a shadow to dread, but as a sacred opportunity to deepen our connections with those we hold dear. These signs, a fading sparkle in the eyes, shifting sleep patterns, evolving speech, material detachment, changes in diet, newfound emotional serenity, and heightened spiritual perceptions, are not mere markers of an approaching end, but invitations to engage with life more intentionally. They remind us that time, often taken for granted in our fast-moving American lives, is our most precious asset, one that we must spend with care and purpose. Shi Heng's teachings encourage us to pause amidst the hustle of daily routines, rushing to work, chasing deadlines, or scrolling through endless notifications, and truly see the people around us. By noticing these subtle cues, we learn to listen beyond words, to hear the quiet language of the soul as it prepares for its next journey. This understanding is not meant to burden us with sorrow, but to empower us with clarity, urging us to act with love, presence, and compassion while we still have the chance. In a culture that often prioritizes productivity over presence, these lessons are a wake-up call to realign our values. They teach us to slow down, to savor the moments that matter most, whether it's sharing a cup of coffee with a parent, laughing over old stories with a grandparent, or simply sitting in comfortable silence with a loved one. Applying this wisdom means making deliberate choices today, picking up the phone to call someone you've been meaning to reconnect with, writing a heartfelt note to express gratitude, or forgiving a long-held grudge before it's too late. These small acts build a tapestry of memories that will comfort us when the inevitable goodbye arrives. Shi Heng's insights show us that the end of life is not just a departure, but a transformation, a chance to celebrate a life's worth of love, lessons, and shared experiences. By embracing these signs, we can create farewells that are not steeped in regret, but enriched with dignity, meaning, and the beauty of a love lived fully until the final moment. This perspective transforms how we navigate our daily lives. In a society where we're often taught to move on quickly, Shi Heng's teachings invite us to linger in the present, to cherish the fleeting moments that define our relationships. Imagine the impact of asking your aging relative about their childhood dreams, listening intently to their stories, or holding their hand during a quiet afternoon. These are not grand gestures, but they carry profound weight, weaving a legacy of care that endures beyond physical presence. This approach also challenges us to reflect on our own lives, to question what we prioritize, to reassess what we hold on to, and to consider how we want to be remembered. The signs of life's final year are not just about those who are leaving, they are a mirror for those who remain, prompting us to live with greater awareness and authenticity. Practically, this means integrating mindfulness into our routines. It's about carving out time in our busy schedules to be fully present with those we love, whether through a shared meal, a walk in the park, or a heartfelt conversation. It's about choosing to express love and gratitude now, rather than waiting for a perfect moment that may never come. In American culture, where independence and ambition often take center stage, these lessons remind us that true strength lies in vulnerability, in the courage to say, "I love you," to ask for forgiveness, or to simply be there without trying to fix everything. Shi Heng's wisdom teaches us that the end of life is not an abrupt cutoff, but a gentle transition, a time to honor the journey of a soul and to prepare for a farewell that resonates with peace and closure. For those of us left behind, This process is also a catalyst for personal growth. Accompanying a loved one through their final months sparks deep introspection, reshaping our priorities and perspectives. We begin to value time differently, to notice the fragility of life, and to appreciate the small moments that once seemed insignificant. This transformation can lead to profound changes, reconciling with estranged family members, pursuing long-delayed dreams, or adopting a slower, more intentional pace of life. Shi Heng reminds us that the end of a loved one's cycle touches us all, planting seeds of change that can blossom into a life lived with greater purpose and connection. By embracing these lessons, we not only honor those who are leaving, but also enrich our own existence, making every day a testament to the love and presence we share. If this video has stirred something in your heart, sparked a new perspective, or inspired you to act with more intention, we'd love to hear from you. Hit that like button to show your support for this journey of reflection, and share this video with someone who might need its wisdom, a friend, a family member, or anyone who could benefit from these insights. Subscribe to our channel to stay connected for more content that challenges us to live more fully in each moment. In the comments below, tell us which of Shi Heng's signs resonated with you most, or share a story about a loved one that this video brought to mind. Your engagement keeps this conversation alive, fueling our mission to spread meaningful ideas that help us all live with greater love and awareness. Let's keep this dialogue going, valuing every day, every gesture, and every story, because living well is also about knowing how to say goodbye with love.